I know you probably saw the title of the video and thought, oh boy, one more of those stupid videos trying to sell me on some secret formula to consistent wins. And I wouldn't blame you. That's what I usually think when I see those two, but bear with me. As someone who's been consistently playing Forza games for over 10 years, I know a thing or two about getting faster. Back when I started playing Forza games, I would set the AI on easy with most of the assists on an automatic transmission. As the years went by, I gradually bumped the AI to unbeatable, turned off all the assists, and started racing with manual with clutch. So this video is meant as a summary of what I learned over the years, from being a total noob to someone with a fairly decent online win ratio. Upgrades are probably the first thing we all do wrong when we play Forza games for the first time. Back when I played my first Forza game, I would get a D-Class car and upgrade it all the way to S2 or X-Class with no regards to things such as aerodynamics and body weight whatsoever. And for years, I struggled to understand why I couldn't keep my car under control when I had a much easier time with other cars. Over the years, I learned a formula that works great for any Forza game. Don't upgrade your car further than 2 classes above its stock one. On some cars, you might be able to bump it up 3 classes above stock, but for the vast majority of the cars available in both Forza Motorsport and Forza Horizon, 1 or 2 seem to be the sweet spot. However, there's a catch. This sort of rule only applies to cars in D and C classes. For cars in D class, you may upgrade it to C or B. For C class, B or A. But once you reach B class, this threshold starts getting smaller. While it's perfectly possible to upgrade from B to S1 class and still have a pretty decent car, you'll be competing against cars that sit naturally in that class. And while in most cases you're able to make a B class car much faster than an S1 with the right tune setup, it probably won't be able to match the cornering speed and turning ability of a natural S1 class car. So for B class, I recommend you upgrade it to no further than A class. The same goes for S1 class cars. You may upgrade it to S2 and make it competitive, but when you're racing against skilled players, you probably won't be able to beat them if they're using a natural S2 car upgraded to the top of its class. X class is useless for public lobbies as none of them currently support this class. At least, that's the case in Forza Horizon 4. Now, I just talked about how far you can push the cars, but what exactly should you be looking for when you upgrade it? For cars in D, C, B, and A class, I would recommend you go for tunes that emphasize power above anything else. Of course, it's not ideal to completely sacrifice handling, but power should take priority. The reasoning behind that is there is a wide-ranging power you can explore with cars of these classes, and you should be able to find cars with some massive power gaps between one another, making for some fairly easy wins online. Your car obviously won't be as nimble as cars with handling-focused tune setups, but the power advantage should be more than enough to make up the difference and then some. S1 class is a weird place when it comes to deciding what to prioritize. Starting with this class, cars start to become a lot more balanced, and as a result, it's more difficult to come out ahead if you rely only on theoretical power differences. My recommendation is to find cars and tune setups with great cornering speed. Cornering speed in S1 class is what's going to dictate whether you'll be able to stay competitive and win races. On S2 class, the power difference is even smaller, so again, prioritize cars and tune setups that favor cornering speed above anything else. Anything too powerful will be just too difficult to control and keep pace. One last but equally as important thing I want to mention before we wrap up the upgrade section of the video. Whatever tune setup you choose to download, make sure it's an all-wheel drive. Forza Horizon games are very much all-wheel drive centric, so for good or for worse, you need all-wheel drive cars to be competitive. However, rear-wheel drive tend to be a lot more powerful, but they proportionally require a lot more skill to drive in a competitive environment. For this reason, go with all-wheel drive. This one gets me mad sometimes. I'd say about 90% of the races I manage to win happen because people waste so much energy trying to block other people off or just mess up with them from the beginning. Thankfully, we now have the 30-second ghosting at the beginning of every race, but when people remain packed together after it times out, there's still a chance people will try to pull off some dirty trick. The more they do it, the further the people out in front get. So just don't do it. Give each other space. If you're battling against someone midfield who's clearly faster than you and you can block them off using racing lines, just let them through. The more you fight, the more the both of you will waste time and the quicker the people in the back are going to catch up, possibly inviting more chaos. There's a time and place to go into a corner fast and coming out slower. That can be an overtaking maneuver when there's room for it, but for the most part, slow in, fast outs are the way to go. So nail your braking points, take the corner nice and steady, and go for a quick exit. If someone else is able to take the corner faster than you do, chances are they have a better car for that track, so there's no point in pushing your car trying to make it do more than it can handle. You'll only drive yourself off the track this way. Sometimes we're trying to go for blazing fast times around the track to make sure we get away from the competition as quickly as possible. But the thing is, how consistently are you able to keep the space throughout a multi-lap race? If the answer is not often, then slow down a bit and keep a pace you can consistently maintain throughout the entire race. Here's what you should be asking yourself. If you're doing a 3-lap race and your lap times look like these, which one should net you an overall faster time? Option A or option B? I'm gonna give you some time to do the math before showing the results. Be smooth. That's something I struggled with for the longest time, but the difference in speed and consistency once I learned how to feather my brakes and gas was noticeable. Now, there'll be a couple of cars and corners where you want to lock your brakes in what I like to call two-step braking, but that's a topic for another video. For 99% of the cases though, the easier you go on the brakes, the shorter your braking distance will be. I personally find that pressing the LT trigger somewhere around 60 to 70% works best for me, but depending on the tune setup you're using, you might be able to get away with more without locking them. And the same goes for the RT trigger, your gas input. Rather than hammering down the gas on corner exit, feather it. Make the acceleration a gradual process. Try to learn to detect when your wheels got traction and then you floor it. The more you develop this habit, the easier it will be for you to figure out where each car loses and gains traction so you can make a choice on when to floor it. So you've reached a level where you're consistently winning races, but then someone comes along and beats you by a really wide margin. This happens to me all the time and there's just no way around it. No matter how fast and knowledgeable you think you are, there's always someone faster with better track and car knowledge. In my experience, when this happens, the vast majority of people tend to rage quit, and my advice is don't do it. Stick with it, see through the end. Absorb the knowledge of that faster player. Try to keep up with them, see what lines they take, how far into the red driving line they brake, and if they're too fast and you just can't keep up with them, see what cars they're using. This is my main learning device in Forza games. I often get beaten pretty bad, and when I do, I'm immediately back in my garage looking up a good tune for the same car I got beaten with. The Forza community is amazing at providing content everyone can enjoy, from liveries to tune setups. But when it comes to tune setups, it's a bit more subjective. Some tunes that might work great for some people might not work great for you. So when you do find someone who consistently puts out tune setups that suit your playstyle, make sure to know who created it and follow them. That'll bump their tune setups to the top of the list whenever they have a tune available for the car you're looking for. Setting up your dead zones used to be optional, just an extra adjustment here and there to get things exactly where you want them. But Forza Horizon 4 physics feel weird, especially when off-roading, which is where it gets especially difficult to control some of the cars. These are the settings I use, and if you want a more in-depth explanation on why I have these values set the way they are, go watch my other video. Link is in the description down below. Lastly, manual with clutch. The thing I feared for many years. I avoided it like the plague. But let me tell you, you have no reason to fear it. It's easier than you think. It's all about timing. When you figure out when you should be shifting up or down, you realize it's strikingly similar to playing a rhythm game. It's when you find this rhythm that things start to click and suddenly you see yourself pulling away from other people in the same cars on a straight line. But that's all I have for now. I just wanted to do an overview video on things I believe should make everybody faster in general. How fast you become will obviously depend on your own skills, but I guarantee this should make you faster than you currently are. I'll do other guide videos covering some of the topics I mentioned on this one a little bit more in depth. So if you have any suggestions on what I should prioritize, let me know in the comments down below. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more Forza content, share the video with your friends and on your social media. It helps me out a lot and I really appreciate the help. And I hope to see you guys on the next one. Bye.